I'm alone this week while my husband's out of town on business, and instead of my usual, which is terrible for me, wine and cheese dinners when I'm alone, I thought I'd treat myself to something a little bit better for me and allow me to show off another recipe that you could try at home. It screams spring with all the flavors, something a little different, and you can do this recipe both on a barbecue, for those of you who have managed to keep it away from all the snow this winter or who have faithfully been digging it out over the last week or so. Or if you need to and can't get to a barbecue or don't have one accessible, you can make this recipe as well in a hot oven. Instructions and full recipe are on the website under the food category under recipes. So I want to marinate the little Cornish hen first. This is a citrus and spice Cornish hen. Chicken is okay. Cornish hens are better. This is great for a dinner party. I used to use Cornish hen quite a bit in my catering business back in the day because it was easy to portion control and allowed me to give a half of a hen per person for an entree course, which worked out really well. So when you get them, the little birds, most of the time, especially up here in Northern Ontario, they are usually frozen. So once you defrost them, you'll notice that, of course, there's a lot of water, so so the juiciness is coming out. Sometimes the neck is still inside, so make sure you can take that out. But I'm going to butterfly it just so that it's going to be easier and faster to cook, both in the oven and on the grill. And time is always of the essence when we're busy, right? Okay, so the easiest way to butterfly a bird, same goes for quail, chicken, duck, just about anything else. And the easiest thing to do is you're just going to remove the backbone. So you can do this with a sharp knife. However, one of my favorite little tricks is using scissors. These aren't exactly kitchen shears, but they just happen to be what I had on hand. And with Cornish hen, you don't really need anything industrial. So you're just going to cut alongside either side of the backbone. And I'm just going to, while I have the scissors in my hand, I'm going to cut off some of this just little excess skin, but nothing major. So now I'm just going to turn it over and flatten it. You'll notice that something really amusing with this bird that I just bought, it's missing a wing. Sometimes you have those kind of things with Cornish hens. Either the wing's missing, part of the drumstick is gone. You can't really tell when it's packaged up. So if you were planning to do this recipe for a dinner party, allow yourself one extra bird in case there's parts that you need to change up later. So now that the bird is ready to go, I'm going to basically just put it in a bowl for a moment. Give my hands a quick wash. So to make the marinade, I'm actually going to use my handy dandy little spice grinder. It's actually a coffee grinder, but I bought a second one since it was so inexpensive, just to use for dried spices and to make spice blends like this. So in here I put in some coriander seeds, as well as some dried oregano. Oregano dried is a little bit stronger flavor. The original recipe calls for fresh oregano, but this time of year it's not easy to find up here in Northern Ontario. So I'm just going to opt for the dried for today. But I am using fresh cilantro, which I tend to keep on hand in my little herb keeper in my fridge quite a bit. So I am going to be adding in some fresh leaves to the marinade. And then again, I'll be adding a little bit more to the dressing when I serve with the Cornish hen tomorrow. So right now I'm just going to pulse the oregano and coriander together first. And this whole thing is so powerful that it doesn't take very long. And it has a candy little cup at the bottom that also has measurements in it, but you may not have that on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in with my bird. I'm going to add in some pureed garlic, only because it's a marinade, and yes, you can use the fresh minced, or you can mince right from a fresh garlic head. But I happen to always have jars of garlic in pureed form to use for sauces and marinades very quickly. It's just one of those little tried and true catering tricks that I learned over the years. So I'm going to add in some of the garlic, well actually quite a bit of garlic because I happen to enjoy it. And I'm going to pulse some of this cilantro into that same blender. I'll give it a rinse a little bit later. And I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to it. That's just enough to emulsify it a little bit. Yeah, my outlet doesn't reach here. Ah, bright green. It's beautiful. So the last things I'm going to add to this marinade, of course, are the citrus components. And we're going to use fresh lemon juice and fresh zest that I basically added into my little cup. And of course I'm going to add salt. Now I'm going to add some salt now, and then tomorrow, before I cook it, I'm actually going to add more salt on the skin. I really want to have a crispy skin on the outside. Yes, this is a handy dandy little battery operated salt grinder, so I can get the really big flavorful salt into anything I need. So I'm going in with my hands. Now I'm going to use a Ziploc bag to store this in the fridge until tomorrow. So putting my little bird in the bag, and I'm going to use a spatula just so I can get the remainder of the marinade. Now normally there are all kinds of different things, and you shouldn't be using any kind of a marinade with a high acid content like a citrus or something to the into a metal bowl with the meat, of course for chemical reaction reasons. Depending if you're using a stainless steel bowl or not, and for how long it's marinating, it may not make a difference. But honestly, storing things in a Ziploc bag in your fridge is probably going to be the easiest and take up the less amount of space in your fridge. Now, if you bought your Cornish hen fresh for some reason, so you were at a market or shop and they had Cornish hens fresh for sale, as long as they haven't been frozen ahead of time, you can freeze this at this point. So you can actually just mark on the outside edge of the bag what date this was, what the recipe is, or what the marinade was, and you can pop this in your freezer, and then all you have to do is pull one out, defrost it, and you can finish the recipe as directed. It might be a good time saver for barbecue season if you want to make up a few of these ahead of time, but only if they're fresh ahead of time, not the pre-frozen ones. So I'll pop this in my fridge, let it all commingle together, and I will show you how the rest of this is done just before I have my own dinner tomorrow. So I'm really glad I took a few minutes last night to marinate my Cornish hen so that it's sitting in the fridge. Now it won't take as long for me to prep dinner for myself tonight. So all I essentially did was take a cookie sheet, lined it with my trusted Silpat mat so it's easier to clean later, topped it with a baking rack so that I can elevate the bird from the base of the cookie sheet so that the air can circulate, which means the heat will be circulating around the bird a little more evenly. Spread the bird out as much as I can on top of the rack, and I also added a little extra salt on top of the skin, and as I mentioned earlier, that is just going to assist with pulling any excess moisture out of the skin to help it crisp up a little bit more, because that's probably one of my favorite parts. Not the best thing for me, but still one of my favorites. So I was about right with the 20-minute mark. Once I let it rest for a few minutes, it'll be at the perfect temperature. I would still check after 20 minutes depending on the size of your Cornish hen, just to make sure that it's actually safe to eat, and when you pick it with a fork, the juices run clear, which is usually the best sign if you don't happen to have a thermometer. I am going to tent it just lightly with a piece of foil just for a few minutes while I'm making this dipping sauce. So again, I'm zested some lemon into a bowl, and I'm going to Squeeze in some fresh lemon juice. I'm squeezing it upside down, yes, so I can keep the seeds inside the lemon peel. I'm going to add a touch of maple syrup for sweetness, just to counteract some of the salt and citrus, and it'll give it a nice balance. I am going to use more of the fresh cilantro that I had in my fridge. I just took the leaves and I'm going to give it a pretty decent chop. This is more going to be just sort of a drizzle on top of the hen. And ta-da! I found fresh oregano this morning. So couldn't find it yesterday, but of course, obviously, it was just a bad day for me to go shopping for fresh herbs. So again, I'm going to pull off some of the leaves and give that a rough chop. So now I have a balance of the dried oregano that was in the marinade as well as the fresh oregano for the topping. Salt and pepper, of course. And I'm going to whisk in just a little bit more olive oil. And I think I would like to have it a little bit citrusy today. You'll have the exact measurements on your recipe on the website. And I'm going to slowly drizzle in some extra virgin olive oil, almost like making a vinaigrette. Lovely. So I'm going to pour this into my little dipping dish on my plate. Now, just because it's my dinner, I decided to make my own favorites. I just have some sauteed mixed rice, and I actually just sauteed some kale with some a lot of fresh garlic. So that's going to sort of play off of some of the flavors in the marinade. And that with the dipping sauce is fine for me. So this didn't sit quite long enough, but I just wanted to show you the nice color on the skin. And if I was serving this per person, I would do half. So I cut it down the breastbone, and I would separate the leg from the breast, just so that it's easier to cut. So I would have the two. And now I just saved myself lunch for tomorrow. So just with my first video demo that I posted earlier this week, I already received a question about wine pairings. I am going to be producing some short videos like this that are taken from my wine classes. They're not going to be very straightforward instructional like these videos are. They'll be a little bit more fun, and I'm actually going to invite some friends along to join me for those classes in a video format. And so just based on request, if I had to pair a wine with this, I'm going to go and dig out a great Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. Sauvignon Blanc naturally has great citrus flavor, and I think that's just going to pick up on all of that lemon that I have in both the marinade and the dressing that's on the side. So I hope you like this Cornish hen recipe, and that maybe it breaks you out of your chicken rut and gives you something new to try out for this season coming of spring entertaining. For the wine videos, wine classes, and cooking classes for this spring, check out the rest of the website under cooking classes and wine classes, and I look forward to seeing you and serving you in the spring. Enjoy!